when everything you trusted falls apart. Remember when your biggest decision was whether to rewind the VHS tape? I was cleaning out my garage last weekend and found a box of old photos, actual printed photos, from the early 2002. My kids were looking at them like archaeological artifacts. Dad, why didn't you just take a screenshot? We lived in a different world then, when wireless meant your house phone didn't have a cord, when streaming was what happened to a creek behind your house, when you actually had to remember directions because GPS wasn't in your pocket. We worried about Y2 Kelvin, which turned out to be nothing. We thought the biggest threat to America was running out of oil. We believed if we worked hard, saved money, and kept our noses clean, life would be predictable. We had 3 television channels and somehow found plenty to watch. We lived in neighborhoods where people knew each other's names. We bought houses believing they'd always increase in value. We trusted our banks, our government, our institutions. We believed in progress, that tomorrow would be better than today, that our children would have it easier than we did. How's that working out for us in 2025? In the last 5 years, everything we thought was solid has been systematically shaken. 2020. A global pandemic shut down the world overnight. Churches closed for the first time since World War II. Families couldn't gather for funerals. Our children lost 2 years of normal childhood, 2021 to 2024. Inflation hit levels we hadn't seen since the Carter administration. The American dream of homeownership became fantasy for an entire generation. Gas prices, groceries, housing, everything became a luxury. Our cities burned. Our political system fractured beyond recognition. Social media turned neighbors into enemies. We can't even agree on basic facts anymore. What used to be news is now propaganda, depending on which feed you follow. 2024 to 2025. The war in Ukraine continues grinding on. The Middle East exploded again. China threatens Taiwan daily. Climate disasters that meteorologists call unprecedented happen every few months now. Wildfires in January, snow in Florida, hurricanes in December. But here's what hit me personally. Last month at my local grocery store, the same one I've shopped at for 15 years, I saw something that broke my heart. The manager, someone I'd known since my kids were little, looked exhausted. When I asked how he was doing, he said, "Pastor, I've never seen anything like this. People are angry, scared, desperate. They're fighting over groceries, stealing baby formula. I've been in retail for 30 years, and I don't recognize this country anymore." And then he said something that haunts me. It feels like everything we built our lives on was just pretend. You know, after Hurricane Andrew devastated South Florida in 1992, someone spray-painted on their destroyed roof, "Okay, God, you got our attention. Now what?" That's not just about natural disasters anymore. That's about watching everything we thought was permanent crumble in real time. So here's the question. Keeping Americans awake at 3 a.m. If everything can be taken away, what's the point of anything? 50 years ago, when Billy Graham started preaching, the philosophical question was, what is truth? Today's question is darker, more desperate. Does anything actually matter? You work 30 years building a retirement fund, then inflation destroys it overnight. You raise your children with values, then culture tells them everything you taught them is wrong. You invest in your marriage, then divorce rates hit 50%. You take care of your health, then cancer doesn't care how many vitamins you took. We're the most medicated, most entertained, most connected generation in history, and we're miserable. Suicide rates at historic highs, anxiety disorders affecting 40 million American adults. Our teenagers are having panic attacks about climate change and school shootings. I'll be honest with you. As a pastor, I see it every week. People who look successful on Instagram but are dying inside. Families that appear perfect on social media but are falling apart at home. Christians who've been in church their whole lives but have no idea how to handle real crisis when it hits. And here's what terrifies us most. If everything can be shaken, what happens when the shaking comes for the things we love most? Your health, your marriage, your children, your faith, because it will come. The question isn't if you'll face a crisis that shakes everything you think you know. The question is, when that shaking comes, what will be left standing? This is exactly why God gave us Hebrews 12:26-27. Yet once more I will shake not only the earth but also the heavens. This indicates the removal of things that are shaken, things that have been made, so that things that cannot be shaken may remain. God is not surprised by 2025. He's not wringing his hands wondering what went wrong. He told us this would happen. But here's the hope. God doesn't shake things to destroy us. He shakes what can be shaken to reveal what cannot be shaken. In the middle of all this chaos, there are 4 anchor points that have never changed and never will. God's nature has not changed. Malachi 3-6. I am the Lord, I do not change. Your 401 Kelvin can crash overnight. God's character cannot. Your government can fail you. God's faithfulness never will. Your health can deteriorate. God's power remains absolute. When my father was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's at 67, I watched this brilliant man, a seminary professor, who could quote entire books of the Bible, slowly forget everything he'd ever known. But you know what he never forgot? Even when he couldn't remember my name, he never stopped singing Amazing Grace. Even when he couldn't remember where he was, he remembered God's love. God's love for you is not dependent on the stock market, the election results, or your medical test results. God's word has not changed. Isaiah 40:8. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God will stand forever. Social media algorithms change daily. News cycles change hourly. Scientific facts change yearly. But this book, every promise in here is as true today as it was 2,000 years ago, when Jesus said, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." That wasn't just for first-century Palestinians. That's for you right now, carrying the weight of 2025's anxiety. This book has survived the fall of empires, world wars, and cultural revolutions. It will survive whatever you're going through right now. Human nature has not changed. Jeremiah 17:9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately sick. Who can understand it? We thought technology would make us better people. Instead, we use it for cyberbullying and pornography. We thought education would eliminate hatred. Instead, we found new ways to despise each other. We thought prosperity would bring happiness. Instead, we've never been more anxious. The problem isn't out there in the world. The problem is in here. Point to heart. We're not basically good people who occasionally mess up. We're broken people who desperately need fixing. The way of salvation has not changed. Acts 4:12. And there is salvation in no one else, for there is no other name under heaven given among men by which we must be saved. John 14:6. I am the way, and the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. I know that sounds exclusive in our inclusive culture, but here's the thing. Truth doesn't care about our feelings. Reality doesn't bend to our preferences. When Jesus died on that cross 2,000 years ago, he wasn't just dying for ancient sins. He was dying for 2025 anxiety, 2025 depression, 2025 broken marriages, 2025 financial stress. The same Jesus who calms storms can calm your panic attacks. The same Jesus who rose from the dead can resurrect your dead dreams, your dead marriage, your dead hope. So here's what I need to ask you, and I need you to be brutally honest with yourself. What are you trusting in right now that could be gone tomorrow? Your job security? Your health insurance? Your retirement plan? Your political party? Your reputation? Your relationships? Because I guarantee you, every single one of those things will be shaken at some point in your life. But here's the incredible news. When everything that can be shaken is shaken, what remains is unshakable. And that unshakable foundation is not a what, it's a who. His name is Jesus Christ. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. But you have to choose. You can keep building your life on things that can be shaken, or you can build it on the one who cannot be moved. This isn't about adding Jesus to your life like spiritual insurance. This is about recognizing that you are not the foundation of your own life. He is. The question is not whether more shaking is coming. The question is, when it comes, what will you be standing on? Here's what I want you to do right now. First, if you've never made a personal commitment to follow Jesus Christ, don't leave this video without doing that. Type "I choose Jesus" in the comments below, and I will personally respond with resources to help you take that next step. Second, if you're already a Christian but realize you've been building your security on shakeable things, type "Unshakeable" and tell me what you need to surrender to Him. Third, share this message. Someone in your life is being shaken right now and needs this hope. Subscribe to this channel if you want content that tells you the truth instead of what you want to hear. Join a community of people who understand that real faith costs something and delivers everything. The shaking isn't going to stop, but you don't have to be shaken by it. Build your life on what cannot be moved. His name is Jesus, and He's waiting for you right now.